We set out 5 years ago to do something that I wasn't sure was possible. It was quite an undertaking to do a film, a feature-length film, for two female filmmakers 9,000 miles apart.
The reason people don't get to be what they want is because maybe they didn't want it bad enough to begin with, and they give up. Life gets in the way. Somebody stops them, something stops them.
ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നതാണെങ്കിൽ ചെയ്യാം. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ഓർത്ത് വറി ചെയ്യണ്ട. അത്ര തന്നെ.
ആർക്കാ അമേരിക്കയ്ക്ക് പോകേണ്ടത്? എനിക്കോ നിനക്കോ?
I mean, imagine if you moved to India. I could never do the long distance thing.
Once you get this itch to go to India out of your system, you're going to come back here. You're going to have to work your way back up from the bottom of the ladder again.
This is your life you're playing with. This is not my life. At least this alone is not my life.
Nicole had done a parody trailer of Wolf of Wall Street, which was gender reversed, and it was called Women of Wall Street. It got featured in HuffPost, and I came across the video and I really thought it was very interesting. So I looked up the creator of the video and I messaged Nicole on Facebook saying that I liked the video.
At first I was a little skeptical. I didn't know who was reaching out to me. Was I being catfished? Was this a real person?
Chatted for some weeks, months.
And I realized, okay, this Uma is legit.
The question just came out. Should we do a movie together? That's how the idea was born. That's how the collaboration was born.
We started brainstorming together.
So we knew that there was going to be two parts for the story, for Nicole to shoot in America and for me to shoot in India.
So we had to come up with something that both would agree on, that we both liked. Also something kind of simple that would be able to be shown all over the world and between our two different countries, and people can relate to it at the same time.
So we did not want to write some over melodramatic, heart-wrenching, emotional kind of story. We wanted something light, something relatable, and something inspiring as well.
The movie is a very simple story. It follows the characters Nila and Holly.
Oh please, it's just Holly.
Yo, Nila man, what's up?
Busy.
It's a movie about two women in two countries, 9,000 miles apart, who is very different in everything but shared one dream, to travel out of their country.
I feel like I never travel anymore.
You went to Atlanta last month.
Yeah, Atlanta.
So, India. Stop.
India?
India.
Yes. Obsession. ഇത് കണ്ടോ? ആനന്ദങ്ങ യുഎസിലാണല്ലോ.
No, I'm serious. ഇനി കഥ ഇവിടെ തീർന്നു. ഇനി USA.
We had locked the script and the next step in front of us. The first obstacle that we faced was getting funds to make this movie, to get a producer. Just as we guessed, most of the people around us from the industry believed that what we are doing was just crazy, something impossible and just a waste of time and money. So we just went ahead and crowdfunded. Kickstarter in USA and Indishberry in India.
Realized that we need your help. We were able to raise nearly $15,000 for the film. It was definitely not a lot of money to make a feature-length film. When Uma had reached out to me, that was in 2014, and then we had, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of emails and Skype calls since that time. And then it was around the end of 2016 where I was like, hey, why don't I come to India? Like, why don't we finally meet face to face? We're doing this project together. I think it's best if we finally met.
And it was very interesting.
Picked me up in the airport and we went back to her house. Her mom made me food, and it was just an incredible experience. This is somebody that I've never met in my life, and just immediately felt like I had known them forever and that they were a friend. We sat down and could finally talk face to face about this film.
To finally meet somebody a virtual collaborator whom you have been talking to for the past 1 year, planning to make a movie together, to see that person finally in front of you, to talk to that person face to face, it was a very interesting experience, especially when you know that you two are going to do something crazy and historic.
As far as production as well, we knew that we were going to be shooting with separate crews, separate cinematographers, separate directors.
And we had to make sure that the film looked seamless when intercut. So we decided to use the same equipments, the camera, the audio, the tones, production design, everything, the technical details everything was discussed prior and decided.
We shot simultaneously, so Uma shot for 2 straight weeks in India while I shot for 2 weeks in the US.
In between the shooting, we used to swap the screen grabs and photographs, etc., to make sure that everything was going according to a plan.
So we can see how the film was looking, how the scenes were going, how the acting was, and even before that process with the casting, we may have not been able to cast together because she was in India and I was in the US, but we were always in sync with one another. We had so many different files on our Google Drive, and it would be like, here's who I'm thinking for casting, here's the videos that I've looked at.
What do you mean you've decided to move to India?
I mean, you're probably happy. You never wanted me to go there.
Same with the locations. She knew where I was going to be filming, what Holly's house looked like, I knew what Nila's house looked like. We were both in sync the whole time, that we just wanted to be on the same page and be aware of what each one was doing, because we are doing one film with 2 different directors, filming it super far apart, which made things complicated because there's also, I think it's a 13.5-hour difference. I would say I probably Googled time in India nearly over 1,000 times since this process has begun. I've never co-directed anything before, so there was definitely challenges because you have different ideas and you have different opinions about something.
Head of operations promotion.
What? Another challenge was that we had to learn how things were done in different parts of the world, different industries, different cultures. But more than a challenge, it was a learning experience.
There's certain procedures that happen when you're making a film, and as in India, there's different procedures that happen when you're making a film. There were a lot of things that needed to be communicated always, because there was a lot that you would assume, like, oh, this is how you would film something, this is how you would edit something, but we couldn't make any of those assumptions because we realized that each of our countries did something differently.
India, I think it's what I have to do.
Did you even think about us?
Yes, I did, of course. That's one of the reasons coming to this decision was so difficult.
So one of the more complicated things that we had to deal with was definitely the lack of money that we had. It costs a lot to make a movie, and we only had, give or take, $15,000 to $20,000 to work with.
Since when do you ever care about the money?
But we did the most with what we had and the skills that we were given. It's just so fulfilling to finally get to the point where we did complete it and we did make this happen somehow, and I don't think anything has really been done like this before in the film world, where there's 2 different directors in 2 different locations who honestly have never really met much or really have worked together before and collaborated on this script and created these characters, created this world and this story, and they did it together, and they did it so far apart. At its core, Across the Ocean is a simple story, but I think the relationship and the friendship that Uma and I had and this opportunity that we had to make this film 9,000 miles apart is a bigger story in itself.